Welcome back to Feed Scarborough's volunteer orientation. The safety of our volunteers is of the utmost importance. If at any point during your volunteer experience you feel threatened or uncomfortable, tell someone, even if the person responsible is a staff person. Staff and our volunteer team leads should never give you activities where your health or safety is put at risk. Remember, only take directions from staff and our volunteer team leads. No matter how big or small the task, if you feel your health or safety is at risk, just say no. You have the right to refuse. Accidents do and can happen in workplace environments. Again, no matter how big or small the task, if you feel your health or safety is at risk, just say no. You do have the right to refuse. Accidental death and dismemberment insurance or other injury-related insurance is not provided for volunteers. Volunteers are not covered by worker safety and insurance benefits. It is important that our volunteers are alert and attentive at all times as we deal with vulnerable clients that may pose a risk, although the vast majority are great people. Due to the environment in which volunteers participate, please be aware of moving vehicles and machinery. Violence of any kind is not acceptable. Violence is considered any actual, attempted, or threatened act of aggression that causes or is likely to cause physical or psychological harm, including behaviors known or ought to be known to be unwelcome or threatening. Violence includes aggression, assault, harassment, including sexual, bullying, disruptive behavior, threats, verbal, physical, sexual abuse, damage to property, or domestic violence. If at any point as a volunteer you feel threatened or have been a victim of violence, report the incident to staff or volunteer team leads right away or call 911. Feed Scarborough will not tolerate violence, abuse, or threats of any kind, no matter how small the incident. Volunteers should always take into account the age of the individual, any extenuating circumstances, including persons with a disability, special need, medical conditions, or mental health issues when determining appropriate steps. Vandalism and or destruction of any property or ambitious behavior will not be tolerated. Everyone experiences slips, trips, and falls from time to time, but we often forget that they can cause serious injury. Report any hazards you may encounter or eliminate them. Report all slips, trips, and falls to staff or volunteer team leads. All slips, trips, and falls, no matter how minor, will be documented. All slips, trips, and falls by clients should also be documented. Wear appropriate footwear. Clean up any spills of wet or dry substances. Keep the floor free of debris and work areas clean, and ensure any mats or carpeting are fixed securely to the floor. Close drawers after retrieving items. It is the expectation that volunteers will not be handling dangerous substances. However, due to ongoing infectious disease protocols that are in place, volunteers at times may be in contact or be using cleaning substances. Please familiarize yourself with the labels on the bottles and containers. Here is an example of some of the labels you may find on the bottles. Everyone at Feed Scarborough has a responsibility in ensuring food is safe and therefore reducing the chances of foodborne illness. As a volunteer, you can ensure you are wearing and changing gloves with each task, if you choose to wear them in the kitchen. Ensure all food containers and utensils are clean. Protect food from contamination by covering it with a lid, plastic wrap, aluminum foil, or wrap items individually where possible. Ensure individually prepackaged food is served from the original container. And wear clean clothes, aprons, and hair restraints and caps. Refrain from eating, drinking in any food preparation area. Dispense condiments safely by providing separate containers with self-closing lids, dispensers, or individual packages. Ensure cutlery is stored upright and cups are handled from the bottom. Wash your hands 15 seconds with liquid soap before and after using the washroom, smoking, handling garbage or cash, or coughing or sneezing. Also before starting activities and after. Turn taps off with a towel or a napkin. Some food poisonings are caused by temperature abuse, improper cooking, or improper reheating or cooling. Use a probe thermometer to take the internal temperature of food. The probe must be inserted into the thickest part of the food. Make sure the probe does not touch bone or the container. Clean and sanitize the probe after each use and before inserting into the next food item. Record temperatures in a logbook. The danger zone is the temperature range between 4 degrees Celsius and 60 degrees Celsius. Keep food out of the danger zone. Bacteria will multiply quickly in this zone. Bacteria grows extremely well at body temperature of 37.1 degrees Celsius, so keep hot food, 60 degrees Celsius or above. Have a probe thermometer available to check the temperature of food. And make sure to cover food to keep the heat in and to prevent contamination. Keep cold food cold at 4 degrees Celsius or below. Provide a reliable thermometer to ensure proper operation of the refrigerator. Place food in the refrigerator so that air can circulate around it to freely maintain proper temperature. Do not allow hazardous foods to be in the danger zone longer than 2 hours when preparing food. Move hazardous food through the danger zone as quickly as possible. Keep frozen food below 18 degrees Celsius. Bacteria does not grow below 18 degrees Celsius, but will survive. Storing hazardous food at minus 20 degrees Celsius or below for 7 days or at 35 degrees Celsius or below for 15 hours will kill parasites and their eggs. Food can also be stored at 18 degrees Celsius or below 21 days to kill the parasites and their eggs. Food can be safely defrosted in the refrigerator under running cold water or in the microwave. Make sure the outside of the food is kept cool and out of the danger zone. Defrost and clean refrigerators regularly for efficient operation. All interior surfaces, racks, trays, and the fan grill must be washed and sanitized at least once a week to prevent odors and maintain cleanliness. Cross-contamination occurs when safe-to-eat food comes in contact with bacteria, chemicals, or unwanted items, making the food unsafe to eat. This commonly happens in 3 ways. Raw food or its juices come in contact with cooked food, using the same equipment to handle raw and cooked food, or your hands are contaminated by touching the food. Store cooked or ready-to-eat food above raw food or in a separate refrigerator. This will prevent the juice from raw food dipping into the cooked or ready-to-eat food. All food must be covered when stored in the refrigerator to protect it from contamination. Do not store food on the floor of walk-in refrigerators. Rotate stock to ensure food does not sit too long. Make sure cutting boards, knives, and equipment are cleaned and sanitized after they come in contact with hazardous food. When cooking meat, use separate tongs to handle raw and cooked meat. Do not place cooked meats on the same plate that had the raw meat on it. When cooking meat, do not brush marinade on the meat in the last 10 minutes of cooking, as this contaminates the cooked meat with raw juices. When tasting food, use the 2-spoon method to prevent cross-contamination. 1 spoon scoops out the food and places it onto the second spoon. The second spoon is used to taste the food. But we do recommend that volunteers do not taste the food. Label chemicals and pesticides and store them in a separate area away from the food. Mops, brooms, and brushes must also be stored in a separate room. And please wash your hands frequently. Utensils, multi-surface articles, equipment, and food contact surfaces must be cleaned and sanitized after each use. Utensils and multi-surface articles must be cleaned and sanitized in a machine dishwasher or using the 3-compartment sink technique to reduce the potential for the spread of bacteria. Floors, walls, ceilings, equipment, and washroom fixtures must be cleaned and sanitized on a regular basis. This keeps establishments clean, reduces the potential for cross-contamination, and minimizes pest infestations. Here's an example of the compartment sink method. Best before dates do not mean that the food is expired or is unable to be consumed. In each of the fridges, you will see this chart. Please refer to this often as it gives the actual expiry dates of the food. If you have any questions, please ask staff. Volunteers are not obligated to help in an emergency. The Ontario's Good Samaritan Act protects people from any liability if they step in to help during an emergency situation. For major medical emergencies, example a heart attack, unconscious individual, call 911, alert staff, and follow any instructions given by medical professionals. For minor medical emergencies where first aid is required, notify staff. First aid boxes are located at each location. All instances of medical emergencies must be reported to staff.